Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Diana Emerson. Today we are listening to the shocking murder of Riley Crossman. Killers caught on tape.
In the U.S., Berkeley County, West Virginia, home to 15-year-old Riley Crossman, who lived with her mother, Chantel, two younger brothers, and her mother's boyfriend, Andy McCauley. Riley was dating her classmate, Hayden Lacey. Jasmine Cooley was her best friend.
We became friends in middle school, and it was very quick how close we became. We would sit out here for hours on end and just talk. We would talk about boys, we would talk about our friends, our lives, especially like school and stuff, and what was bothering us. Our friendship, it reminded me of sisterhood more than anything. And I feel like she was the sister my age that I never got. She stayed here for days on end. She would stay so long that my mom would give her chores to do around the house. She was such a good dancer, and she showed that on stage. She was able to just dance her heart out or sing her heart out, and she was just so good at what she did.
But on May 7th, 2019, everything changed.
I got a phone call, just some information about a missing 15-year-old Riley Crossman.
It's not abnormal for a teenager to be missing a couple hours. Chantel was really struggling to make ends meet. She worked two jobs at the time. She would literally finish one shift and then have a short break, and she would start another job. So she worked pretty long hours.
It was the end of another busy day for Chantel.
Chantel had worked a long shift that day. She wasn't feeling it. Chantel comes home. She said she walked in, that she saw Andy McCauley sitting in a chair. She went upstairs. She saw Riley's door shut. She wasn't going to disturb her.
Chantel went to bed.
But the one thing that stood out that following morning is Riley almost always would walk into her bedroom and say, "Hey, Mom, have a good day, I love you," and then leave for school. She doesn't remember Riley saying that.
Riley normally walked to school in the morning before Chantel dropped the boys off in the car.
Chantel dropped them off, and she went about her day. It wasn't until around the evening hours she started to notice that something was wrong.
Riley hadn't been in touch with her mother all day.
Riley was glued to that cell phone, and a lot of the communication with her mom happened to be through that cell phone because Mom was always at work. It wasn't until she came home that evening that she got the phone call from the school that said she wasn't present for school that day. No one realized she was missing. She immediately starts looking around, calling all of Riley's friends.
I'd come home from school, my mom would come upstairs and she was on the phone with Riley's grandmother, and she asked me if I had talked to Riley today. And I said, no, I don't think so. So I tried to text her and it didn't go through. And I had gone on Snapchat, so I went to go see if she posted anything, and nothing was there.
Chantel also tried calling Riley.
Immediately went to a voicemail.
The police got involved.
They kind of took it as a runaway complaint.
Riley's father lived nearby. He didn't believe she'd run away.
He, in his heart, thought there was something more to this. And that prompted Captain Stapleton of the Sheriff's Department to drive back out to the location.
The police headed out to Riley's home. They met up with Riley's mother, Chantel, and her boyfriend, Andy.
You want to take a look in her bedroom? This is her straight back? Yes, sir.
So this is a photo of Riley's bedroom. And at first it was this messy bedroom. But the more they looked at it, they're like, this isn't matching up.
This is a book bag Debbie said she wore, but she said the kids always want to wear it.
Her book bag is there. Her eyeglasses were there.
But those glasses she wears, does she use them all the time?
All the things that if you're going to run away, typically a teenager would take with them. The cell phone was missing, but her purse was there. Money was there. As they begin to look around this room more, there's a pile of clothes everywhere. They start to notice blood. Blood was on her sheet. The blood was also on the comforter.
This is the only mirror we have like this, so I came in yesterday morning and I don't remember them being there.
According to Chantel, Riley's room looked different to how she last saw it.
I feel like I would have noticed her book bag still being here, and especially her glasses, because this is not exactly the way it was. I've been in here looking to see if there was a note or that.
There was no note. The blood samples were sent off for DNA profiling. A missing child investigation was launched. They checked her school, the neighborhood, and community centers. Dogs were brought in to track Riley's scent.
We also called K9 out to check the area because where she lived at, it actually was walking distance to where she would go to school. They didn't find anything. So they reached out to the cell phone provider, and they were unable to give a ping on the cell phone because the cell phone was turned off. Mom's like, Riley always had her phone charged. It was always plugged in. She never let it go silent.
Nobody knew what happened to Riley, but Riley went missing, so everybody just lost it. She wasn't the type of person who'd just go missing, so whenever anybody would say anything to me, like, do you think she would run off? I'm like, no.
Okay, thanks.
There's so many law enforcement officers.
Got a couple minutes from now and help us search.
They were just everywhere at that point, and any evidence anybody had, like last text messages, anything anybody had, they were on top of. They wanted to know who was last to speak to her, who last had conversations with her.
Police started to question the family.
Everything that Chantel said, all of her statements matched up. Her younger brothers went to school. What happened that day? Their statements matched up. Then there was this discussion with Andy.
When's the last time you saw her? Like 9, maybe 10ish at night. Yeah. And what context was that? She was here in the house. She went to bed by, well, I don't know what time she went to bed, but all the kids were in the room by like 9:30. Did she leave in the morning? No. I left at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's 5. Okay. Go to work.
Detectives tried to piece together events. On the Wednesday morning, Andy's colleague, Johnny Walter, picked him up as usual.
Normally, when they would pick up Andy at his home in the early morning hours, someone would have to go and bang on the door. Hey, Andy, come on, we got to go to work.
I'll call him and see if he's up. So that morning, do you remember if you called him or he called you? I just get lucky. I want to say he called.
This particular morning, Andy couldn't wait to go to work.
Andy confirmed to police that he got to work on time and stayed there all day.
Were you at work all day on Wednesday? Yeah.
But Chantel said Andy was missing from work, an absence confirmed by his colleague.
He gets back in roughly 2:45.
So he was going a while with her. 4, almost 5 hours.
Detectives wanted to know where Andy went for 5 hours the day Riley went missing and called him back in.
No. I just talked to Johnny right so I know.
Would you be surprised if you told me something completely different?
Maybe. remember leaving that job site down to Redhill. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. We did go to. It did. I'm sorry. We did. You're right. Okay. You're right. We did go to. It did a show. How long were you there at Redhill? The rest of the day. Okay. The rest of the day. Okay. Were you at that house the entire time? Fixing the smokes? No. Okay. Where were you at? I was at the other house. Okay. I went and got some. I went and got some more drugs. Okay.
There's many reasons why people might confess to a lesser crime, so a crime that's less serious than the one you're being accused of. And one of the main reasons is to divert the attention of the police and to basically say, hey, look over here. So it's effectively an alibi, or I am trying to muddle up the investigation and say, yes, you caught me, but for this other thing, not for the main thing that you're actually interested in. So it's a distraction technique most of the time.
Would you say that there was enough to still do another one on each? Oh, yeah. A couple lines each. Oh, yeah. Okay. So you wouldn't have to, you didn't need any more coke? No.
You left to go back to get drugs, which doesn't make sense because Johnny Walter is already telling us there's enough cocaine left to do a couple more lines.
How long were you gone, roughly? Hour, maybe. Hour and a half. We went from this story to this story, now we're going to get a third story. Okay, this is one of these times you really need to think of what you're telling me, okay, because you're not being honest.
A changing story or changing some of the details of your story is by no means itself an indicator that someone's guilty. But if those changes, those fluctuations in the story are huge, then we should pay attention and say, hey, something's wrong, and either all or part of this is a lie. And with guilty people, there is another problem, which is that they often think that there's basically that they're going to outsmart the police. And so that they can come up with a story that is plausible, that is an alternative to what the police are presenting them. Another problem was that Andy said he left his cell phone at home when he went to work. Police were unable to track his movements through phone data and had to change their tactics.
We were lost at that point in time. He fell off grid. We knew that he came back to work roughly 4.5 hours from the time that he left. He was unaccounted for. So he left this neighborhood, got in his truck, and basically tore out of there.
Detectives turned to CCTV footage for answers.
Task force and other members of law enforcement had already been going up and down Route 9. They canvassed, they went to every business and every home. We found cameras from various businesses.
A camera attached to Hedgesville School gave them their first breakthrough.
These are the cameras you can see up on the right corner and the left corner here that captured Andy McCauley leaving his work site. That was our starting point. We knew the direction of travel. We knew that he was on Route 9, and that was our tracking point at that point in time. One of the key factors that we hit him with that he could not deny were these video cameras, these surveillance photographs.
More crucial evidence emerged from Hayden, Riley's boyfriend, who revealed Riley's final messages.
Hayden goes to sleep, we believe, around 10:30 on May 7th. And then you have the series of text messages that come forward. Andy's in her bedroom. She's reaching out to Hayden. Andy's in my room. I'm scared. Hayden.
Hayden fell asleep and didn't see her messages until the following day. Detectives put the evidence to Andy.
What if I told you her last text with her boyfriend was saying, don't talk, because she still has to make someone? Andy's in here. I'm afraid. That's what it said. What if I told you that? Honestly, that's crazy.
The DNA profiling of the blood samples from Riley's bedroom offered up evidence of extreme violence.
The DNA that came back matched Riley's DNA. The blood was also mixed with saliva. The crime team also found 2 additional spots on the sheets. Again, came back for Riley's blood, and the saliva was mixed. We believe Riley's face forced into the pillow. It almost looks like that's where her nostrils were, that's where her mouth is. There's a separation in between the blood.
Riley's last text and the DNA results were a major development. Riley was still nowhere to be found, and police needed to find out exactly what Andy was doing the day Riley went missing. Cameras on the Bank of Charlestown provided another clue.
We started tracking westward on Route 9, and we came to the Bank of Charlestown right here. We were able to capture video of the same green truck going in that direction. So this was another camera that put us in the right direction. And there was a camera right on the corner here, very close to the roadway, and it gave us great footage.
Here you can see the green Dodge Ram with the ladder rack on the back heading towards Berkeley Springs.
Glimpse by glimpse, frame by frame, the cameras tracked Andy's truck.
The next camera that was successful that we found Andy McCauley on was at Murphy's gas station, which is literally within a mile and a half, maybe, from the Bank of Charlestown.
About 4 minutes later, he's picked up again, same Dodge Ram truck at the Murphy's Shell gas station that's in Hedgesville.
Andy was also caught on camera rapidly paying for fuel at the Rocks gas station.
So the significance of the camera was we had the same truck going out Route 9 at that point in time. We had him leaving the high school going past the Bank of Charlestown. And this camera here put that vehicle going up Route 9 towards Berkeley Springs.
But Andy went off-grid again, until he was spotted by his former girlfriend, Denise Deaver.
We actually had an eyewitness that put his truck here at a specified time frame that told us that the truck was actually backed up.
Police now believed Andy killed Riley, and he hid her body in her bedroom until everyone left. Then he went back and moved her body.
This is where the residence used to be. It was bulldozed and demolished, I believe, in 2021. It's hard to understand or to get a feel to it, but there used to be just a gravel driveway right here, and he actually backed his truck. Instead of pulling it, he actually backed the bed of his truck to the back door.
Police had to find evidence that Riley's body was in Andy's truck. They brought in a specialist team with a cadaver dog trained to respond to the scent of decomposing human bodies.
When this truck is impounded, that was one of the places where Rock was brought in to do his investigation.
When we go in and we search things, they don't tell me anything because they don't want it tainting how you worked your dog. So in the Raleigh Crossman case, when we searched the vehicle and we went in, as we are going around the vehicle, we got to that back end of that vehicle, and I saw that change of behavior with my dog. I asked if we could drop the tailgate on the truck. So we dropped the tailgate, he immediately went in, and as he went in, he kind of went up along the head rack area and along the wheel well and up underneath the toolbox area, come back along the driver's side wheel well. And at that point, he gave me an indication. As soon as we went up in there, I knew he was incensed because of the way he was acting.
So we knew that there was an odor of decomp. And an odor of decomp can come from anything. Brandy was very good in explaining that to us. So we knew that this was a construction vehicle. We knew that your job sites, you cut drywall, you're working with construction tools. There could be an easy explanation why this dog, why Rock, the cadaver dog, indicated in the presence of decomp in the back of the vehicle.
They knew a dead body had been in Andy's truck, but they still didn't know exactly where he went on the day Riley went missing. Until a chance encounter on the edge of town revealed unexpected evidence.
Yeah, I believe one of the officers traveled past that. It was just a little store out, and we'll get down there. It's out in the secluded area of Berkeley County. One of the officers frequents that store, and he happened just to go in there and ask, hey, can I check your video? And miraculously, he checked it, and we saw the truck down there. So that was a complete jackpot, if you want to say. And I think finding that video at Hernandez's was probably the turning point in the investigation.
Then, one final camera provided a geographical focus.
There's actually a residential home here that gave us our last video footage of Andy McCauley driving that green Dodge truck up the mountain. And what was key about that was it gave us a general sense of time frame, because not only did it capture him traveling as we are right now up the mountain, it got him coming back down the mountain. It was right around a 20-minute time frame, maybe a couple minutes under that. So we knew that he had traveled up that mountain and he turned around and basically came right back.
Police got a team together and headed up the mountain.
The only reason that you're coming up here is either to, one, you live in this area, you're trying to get home, or you are trying to circumvent the other areas of traffic and you are going to go down to the Back Creek area, the actual fishing portion. So basically, there's absolutely no reason that somebody would come here.
On May 16th, 8 days after Riley was reported missing, investigators started to search the area. Also on the scene was Brandy with her cadaver dog, Rock.
I have to look after my dog. He is my asset, and I can't put him in any kind of danger. I got Rock out of the vehicle. Rock actually wanted to go down the hill, and I pulled him back up, and we went back up the other way.
And as the officer was driving down the hill, he noticed there were a lot of birds in one location. And he smelled something that he'd smelled before. He got out, and he saw this body over the hill.
Part of our training is looking out for evidence, especially in cases like this. And so as we walked up on the side of the cliff where her body had been dumped off of, I saw a bunch of these screws that were there. I mentioned to the forensics, I said, I think I saw these screws yesterday in the back of that vehicle.
They were very crucial screws. They were very unique and very identifiable, and they were found right here lying essentially next to her.
That was another link to everything with him.
And upon finding that body, the first thing that we did was put eyes on Andy McCauley. He was working at that job site up at Hedgesville High School.
8 days after Riley was reported missing, her mother's boyfriend, Andy McCauley, was arrested.
Our theory in the case is that when Andy went into that room, he was intending to do something. And I don't have any direct evidence of this, but I believe he went in there to sexually assault her. And I think Riley was trying to get help. And the only thing she could possibly do is scream for her mother. And he wasn't going to allow it.
Andy couldn't escape the evidence caught by the cameras.
Without the videos and without the footage, it would have made this case very difficult to prosecute.
Sure, it helps to have a camera catching the crime, but we had probably the second best evidence with the cameras catching every other thing involving Andy's movements and Andy's statements that weren't matching up. And then when you looked at that evidence, the jury was able to draw a reasonable conclusion and were convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that he committed these crimes. There is no explanation for anyone else other than Andy McCauley. Cameras showed every one of those admissions and then the lies. That was absolutely critical for those cameras to show that, to paint the picture of the jury.
On the 4th of November, 2021, Andy McCauley was convicted of first-degree murder